Well, hello everyone, thank you again so very much for sitting down and joining me today. It's so very nice to meet you if I haven't already met you in some way, shape, or form. My name is Ryan, and today we've got a little bit of a different style video. I alluded to it in a couple of previous videos with this more short form style review, so I kind of came up with this idea of this rapid fire review of doing 60 seconds or less, predominantly. We'll try to keep to 60 seconds. I'm sure I can do 60 seconds because I've got 10 titles here. This is going to be primarily all the stuff that I have seen and just don't have enough for various reasons to do a full video on. And there are a couple in here that I will definitely kind of explain a little bit more why I'm not able to make a full video for. Well, today I'm not really joined by a feature guest. You can see Hans Gruber a little bit there in the background, but the main guest that I'm joined with today is the Blinding Southern Sun. Very, very, very nice. Very glad to have the Blinding Southern Sun with us today. Maybe one day I'll figure out something to do with that. But so you can see, got the 10 titles because we got a lot of holes. So let's go with the very first title. We got a big stack to go through. Let's go. Oh, and I almost forgot, I do have the stopwatch that's all ready to go because well, I mean, production value isn't so great here at the drive-in, so we're not going to superimpose any sort of graphic with a countdown. No, we're just gonna use the iPad that's right here. And I mean, if you want to time me, you can, but I'll be truthful. I will. So we're gonna go into the very first title. Whew. Let's see if I can do this. I think that I can do this just fine. I think it sounds fun. I think it'll be a great way to kind of go through because we don't need, I mean, 10 titles here. We don't need a long video. So let's go. Very first title. And go. So the very first one that we've got up here is Suicide Squad, and I alluded to it in the Birds of Prey review that we had not seen Suicide Squad prior to its release, so we went ahead and watched Suicide Squad the day before we watched Birds of Prey, even though there was no reason to have done so before, but we wanted to complete it. Now, my opinion of the movie is that it is, excuse me, not anywhere near as bad as people say. However, I definitely can't consider this movie to be good. It really isn't. Obviously, Margot Robbie and Will Smith's performances are the shining highlights for me personally. However, it's way too messy. It's a jumbled mess of a movie where they're trying to put a lot of different characters in and a lot of different aspects, and without fully kind of going into it. I mean, this is the sort of movie where if you want to have this many characters on, then we really should have had movies that kind of go into more of who these characters are instead of just presenting them as short vignettes and ending it all in a Deus Ex Machina type of fashion. But it is what it is. Again, that is Suicide Squad. That was 57 seconds, so not too bad, not too bad. We are moving right along here. If I can figure out how this works. Got it, okay. Now I have this set up just because when I done the thumbnail, it's a lot fresher and cleaner to do Blu-ray and then DVD. So that's just, I'm not changing it. This is not the order that I watched these in. So let's go with the next title and go. So the next one is AntMan. AntMan was a first time watch for me as well. Picked this one up as a Best Buy sale as the Steelbooks. So went ahead and watched it, and my opinion on it is it's good. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's very formulaic for a superhero movie. AntMan is actually somebody that I'm not fully versed in when it comes to the Marvel Universe. But this was definitely a very welcome addition just for a little bit of knowledge and a little bit more insight into the character. Paul Rudd's performance is Paul Rudd. he's acting like Paul Rudd, but that's fine. I do enjoy him. He's very endearing. It's very humorous, but it seems to really just ride more on the humor a la Deadpool style than actually giving us a much more meatier type of a superhero film. There are some really interesting action shots, some cool special effects, but it is kind of par for the course for a Marvel film, but the humor that it has is enjoyable, so it's, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I enjoyed it for what it was, and that is AntMan. We're doing pretty good. All right, and this next one actually comes from one of my Kino Lorber Studio Classics While Supplies last sale hauls. That's where this one came from. One of the first ones, I don't really remember which one because I dipped in there a couple of times, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So we're gonna go into with George C. Scott in Bank Shot, and Bank Shot is going to be a bank heist comedy where George C. Scott plays a criminal who is aided in escaping prison to pull off this one heist, and it's the heist of stealing from a mobile bank, but then the idea comes, because he is the planner, the idea comes to actually take the entire bank, as you can see on the cover. The idea is absolutely it's very wacky, it's very whimsical, and it is very, very funny. I had a really good time watching this film, and I really do enjoy George C. Scott, so that was definitely the highlight for me. The weird thing, though, is that George C. Scott, his character always feels like he doesn't want to be there because he is surrounded by people that are definitely a little more goofy than he is, and it comes off in a weird way where it seems almost like George C. Scott doesn't want to be in the movie at all. But I think that's really just him really honoring that character and who he is. But it is a very, very funny movie. It's very goofy. It's not quite slapstick, but it is very goofy, and I really, really enjoy the premise. This is a very funny movie, and it is pretty good, so bank shot. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of cuts in here as I'm trying to figure out where this start and reset because I'm doing them blind and I always keep hitting lap and I'm not really quite sure what that does. But that's fine. Yes, I understand my technology. So let's keep moving right along. This one, I kind of intended on doing a feature presentation video for it, but I mean, there's so many of them. Do we really need my full opinions on it? Because I don't really have all that much to say about it. And thankfully I don't have to explain the plot at all in a 60-second format because the next one is Sonic the Hedgehog. I picked this one up on 4K. I was actually excited about this. The whole character design controversy was definitely a wild ride to go for. There's tons of conversations that can be had for that and some very good ones that can be had for that. But when it comes to the movie as a whole, it's fine. It is fun. It's enjoyable. It's definitely aimed towards kids versus more appealing to the older generation that grew up with Sonic, but it is definitely there. I mean, those references and the humor is there, but like I said, it is aimed more towards kids, so a lot of the humor kind of falls flat. I mean, for instance, do we really need Sonic flossing not once but twice? Not really. But story, not that much there, but it is kind of endearing and impressive that they made so much out of basically a hedgehog that runs around really fast collecting rings. But if Jim Carrey was not involved in this playing Dr. Robotnik, you probably would not have quite the movie that you do, because everything that I've read prior to going into this movie was that it definitely was a callback to his earlier chops and earlier characters, and that definitely very much is the case. So that was a delight to see. But all in all, the movie was okay. It's pretty to look at, but Jim Carrey is the real treasure in Sonic. Yeah, there's a lot of cuts in this video. Sorry. But hey, you're getting 60 seconds at a time, you know. All right, we'll go for it. This next one is actually a rewatch for me. And before I go into it, is that I did actually want to do a feature presentation because there's a lot that I have to say about this movie. Things that I've kind of said before, but a whole thing that I want to say about this movie. But there's a lot of really good special features that are on this video that my original DVD release that I had way back in the day did not have any of them on there. So it was a very, very cool to see a lot of that stuff. It was done in the early 2000s, and there is an Arrow video release of this film that I do want to get because there are all these special features plus a lot more. So I do actually plan on getting that because I did get this for a great price. So I will try to hopefully get that Arrow video release for a good price as well so that I can do the video that I plan to do about it. But I will speak very briefly about it right now just to try to get people interested in this movie if for some reason you haven't seen it already, because it's one of those movies to me that it's like everybody should watch. So 60 seconds on the clock, and it is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Now, I absolutely hate this modernized cover of it. It's abysmal, but anyways, Killer Klowns from Outer Space is one of my all-time favorite movies, and this was a rewatch for me, and it definitely holds up because this is everything that is pure creative anarchy to me, where it is speaking to the kid inside of all of us. It is made by the kid inside of all of us. There are more moments of horror and terror, but most of it is so silly and off the wall, and it's very creative. The artwork is insane. So much of it just being done by with perspective shots and composite shots, and it's a beautiful, beautiful film to me, especially with the way that it was created and the mindset that it was created for, where these clowns come down from space and take over Earth with harvesting people in cotton candy, these popcorn guns, circus tent as a spaceship. It is off the wall, and I absolutely love the fact that it is made with the idea of doing what they love, and usually, and I mean, honestly, being a full passion project, and I cannot speak more highly of Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Please check it out. All right, and this next one is also coming from Kino Lorber Studio Classics. I'm pretty sure this is also a While Supplies Last haul. I can't remember that. I love them. Interestingly, I'm waiting for the next video to arrive, actually, any time now. And with Kino Lorber, basically, for the most part, everything that I've gotten from them or that I do buy from them is blind buys, because they're a company that I absolutely love and fully support and fully trust. So pretty much everything from them is blind buys, and that was the case with this one as well. But it was one of those that I could not believe that I hadn't seen it, and that is 60 Seconds on the Clock. Sabata. This is a 1969 spaghetti western starring Lee Van Cleef and William Berger. This was an absolutely fantastic film. Lee Van Cleef is playing Sabata, who is essentially this this drifter. He's a passing gunsman. Nobody really knows who he is. You don't know his backstory. You don't know a whole lot about him except for a couple little tidbits here and there, but he's an excellent marksman, and he is an excellent conversationist as well. William Berger is playing Banjo, not Django, Banjo, who has a little bit to do with Sabata's past, but this is a very, very gritty and very violent spaghetti western, all about basically a bank heist that did not fully succeed, and Sabata is the one at the helm of all of it to try to reap the rewards of knowing what he knows. There is a lot that goes into this film, and it's a little bit long, I would say, when it comes to a spaghetti western. We're running at about 111 minutes. It is a little bit long, but it is not boring. It is not slow paced. It is just absolutely fantastic, and the climax at the end is beautiful. Again, that is Sabata. All right, this next one is actually a Dollar Tree pickup from me a couple sales back ago, because I'd like to include a little bit more of the Dollar Tree pickups that I watch, and that's one reason why I wanted to do this kind of a format, mainly because a lot of the same titles, they come back around either in the same format, or they were DVD before, they're Blu-ray now. So we're definitely going to see a lot of the same titles, and what's the point of picking them up if we're not going to watch them? So 60 seconds on the clock, and this one is The Job. Top billing is Ron Perlman. This is based off a play of the exact same name, where the playwright is the screenwriter as well as the director. The main premise is you have Bubba, who meets Ron Perlman, who is a passing drifter. He's a traveler, doesn't stay in any place longer than 3 days. He's a highly eccentric individual, and he gives Bubba a card that a man had given him, saying if you ever needed work, to give him a call. Ron Perlman, whose character name I cannot remember, does not need the work, so he passes it on to Bubba. However, the work turns to be a lot darker than Bubba originally intended. I think the movie is very good. It's definitely more of a dark comedy. There is a lot of dark humor into it. However, I think that it probably is represented a lot better as a play, because the playwright is not quite polished with translating stage to screen, because there's a lot of static shots. The action doesn't seem quite so polished, but the dialogue is clearly there because he knows what he's doing with that, and the story is tight. So I definitely think that this is actually a pretty enjoyable watch. It's dark, it's funny, it's The Job. So, all right, I'm not gonna cut that. We're just gonna go right on to the next one. Reset, let's keep it going. The next one that I got is Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Now, I actually do enjoy Teen Titans Go. I was a big fan of the original Teen Titans, and if you have seen Teen Titans Go, whether or not you like it or you hate it, this movie is definitely going to be more in line of the same vein, very much poking fun at what Teen Titans was. But the main reason that I enjoy this is that they are not only poking fun at what Teen Titans was, the original show, they are poking fun at the entire trend and the wave that we are still experiencing of superhero movies, because the whole idea is that Robin wants to have his own movie. There is a very, very, very funny movie. Of course, there is a lot of the definitely more child nature. There's fart jokes, but it is still very funny because there is a lot of sarcasm and a lot of buttons that are pushed for serious comic book fans, and there's a lot of DC superheroes that you've never seen before in any sort of film or even animation adaptation before, that are sometimes in the background or even talked about as a joke. It is actually a very funny movie. There's some incredible voice actors in here, some incredible cast. Definitely would recommend, if you enjoy it or if you just kind of know what you're getting into, it's worth a watch. So that actually went over a little bit, 6 seconds over, but that's okay because we're restarting and we're going on to the next one. This is actually a first watch for me. It was one that it's kind of one of those ones, I can't believe I haven't seen it, but I hadn't seen it because this one I picked up on DVD, excuse me, at a Big Lots for a really good price. And I am going to be upgrading to the Blu-ray release because this is the exact same remaster that is on the Blu-ray release. However, when they were compressing it down to DVD, there's definitely something a little iffy with that because they didn't do anything different for the DVD format, so it's a little messy on DVD. It's a little, what's the exact word I'm looking for? If I can think of it, I don't know why I'm snapping my fingers. It's a little juddery, a little jumpy. At times, like there's something wrong with the frame rate, but either way, let's go into it. That is, I actually messed that up. That is Phantasm. I had never seen Phantasm before, which is even weirder because as I watched this movie, it is completely right up my alley. You have a brother, two brothers and their friend, basically trying to stop this interdimensional being known as the Tall Man. I really don't want to get too much into it because that's all that I knew as far as the plot going in. This is a bizarre movie. It is low budget, but there are some amazing things that they're able to do, and I love the story. It is very surreal. The whole idea of the movie is not only about grief and handling grief, but knowing what is the difference between being awake and being asleep, dreams and reality. There is so much into that in this movie. It makes for some incredibly surreal and very avant-garde scenes. Very cool movie. I can highly recommend this enough. The special features that are on here are the exact same that are on the Blu-ray release. Very insightful, including this public access interview with Don Coscarelli and Angus Scrimm. Very insightful. Enjoyed that a lot. Again, that is Phantasm. And the last one that we have here was actually another Big Lots purchase for me. I think it was like $1.88 or something. But that is going to be 60 seconds on the clock. Dredd Central's Monsterland. This is a horror anthology, and I'm always all about horror anthologies. This is a pretty good one. There is no direct interconnecting story so much. The main thing that you have is there is this one survivor in a monster apocalypse who makes his way to a movie theater where the movie is still showing, and he sits down with some popcorn and just tries to enjoy the movie, and the movie that he is watching is Monsterland. Now, obviously, being an anthology, there are some shorts that are way better than others. There's only really, though, one or maybe two that I really didn't like, but there are some that are just like straight up kill scenes to full-fledged stories, and there's even some very weird experimental animation type scene, and there's even some sort of like, if you like or are familiar with some of the Adult Swim style animation, you'll definitely kind of get that vibe from there as well. But it is all horror related, definitely more horror comedy for a lot, but there's a lot to see, and there's a lot of different filmmaking techniques and different styles that are shown in here. So it's very much sort of like ABCs of Death. If you like ABCs of Death, then I would definitely say pick up Monsterland, especially because you can get it for a pretty good price. So guys, that is 10 titles. That was 1:06, but most of them got under a minute. I had a lot of fun doing that because because you got to keep talking because you can get all the points that you want to say. But I kind of enjoyed that. If you like this sort of idea to kind of get through all the movies that I just kind of wanted to talk about but couldn't fit an entire video onto, then definitely let me know. If you like to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinion on any of the films that I've seen or talked about today, albeit briefly, leave a comment down below. We'll have a longer conversation about it. That would be really cool. You can find all of my social media and contact information in the description down below. But that's going to do it for this one. Again, thank you so much for sitting down and listening to me talk about some flicks today. So, you guys, I'll catch you on the next video, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.